I never imagined that my daughter's 10th birthday party would spiral into chaos, but that's exactly what happened last Saturday at Lakeview Park. What started as a joyful celebration quickly turned into a nightmare, all because of one woman, Karen Winters, the HOA president who had made a name for herself in our neighborhood for all the wrong reasons. I arrived at the park bright and early, around 8 a.m., the reservation permit in hand, ready to set up for the day. The lakeside spot we had secured was perfect, shaded by towering oaks with an unobstructed view of the water. My wife and I spent the next hour decorating, hanging colorful balloons on the posts, draping a Happy 10th Birthday Emma banner across the front, and placing the permit on the table to show we had the right to be there. Donovan family, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., clear as day. By 11:30, the party was in full swing. Emma was surrounded by a group of her friends, laughing and playing lawn games. Parents were mingling, chatting around the food table we'd set up, and everything seemed perfect for a special day. That's when I noticed her, Karen Winters, strolling towards us across the park. Her designer sunglasses were perched on her nose despite the overcast skies, and she was clutching her clipboard, her expression already radiating the disapproving air that she was infamous for in Oakwood Estates. "Excuse me," she called out, her voice cutting to the hum of conversations. "I need everyone's attention." I stepped forward, tried to remain calm and cordial. "Hi, Karen. Is there something I can help you with?" She gave me a look like I was an inconvenient stain on her shoe. "Actually, there's been a revision to the park's seating assignments," she said, her tone dripping with false authority. "This particular table has been reassigned. You'll need to move your party to the tables near the playground." I was confused. Reassigned by whom? "We have a reservation permit right here." I pointed to the permit taped to the table. She snatched the permit from the table, examining it as if it were some irrelevant piece of paper. "This isn't valid for this specific table," she said dismissively. "The HOA has implemented new guidelines for lakefront seating. Perhaps you didn't receive the email update." My wife, who had joined us, looked at me with concern written all over her face. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice tight. I tried to keep calm, explaining the situation. "Apparently, there's some confusion about our reservation," I said, trying to keep my voice even as I noticed Emma, standing a few feet away, anxiously watching. Karen sighed as if I were the one inconveniencing her. "There's no confusion," she said. "The rules have changed. This table offers the best view of the lake, which is now reserved for senior HOA members during peak hours." She waved to another woman, who I recognized as her friend Debbie from the neighborhood, who was approaching with takeout bags. "We'll be having our lunch meeting here to discuss community improvements," Karen added, as if this was some kind of important affair. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Karen, this is a public park. The HOA doesn't control the reservation system. We booked this through the City Parks Department weeks ago for our daughter's birthday." By now, she was already removing our decorations, tossing them carelessly to the side as if they were irrelevant. "Well, someone should have informed you of the changes. The HOA oversees all community spaces in and around Oakwood Estates." She sat down at the head of the table, unpacking her lunch as if she owned the place. I felt a surge of frustration. "This is ridiculous," I muttered, noticing other parents had begun to gather, their eyes flicking nervously between Karen and us. I pulled out my phone and showed her the confirmation email from the city. "Look, this is an official reservation. There are 15 kids here celebrating. Surely you can have your meeting at another table. There are plenty of empty ones over there." I pointed to a few nearby tables that were free. Karen took a sip of her latte, then casually waved me off. "Those don't have a proper view," she said, her voice filled with disdain. "This location is better suited for our meeting. Your reservation is simply unenforceable under the new guidelines." She turned back to Debbie. "The chicken salad from Cafe Lauren is divine. You must try it." I stood there, stunned. Several parents were now filming the scene, their phones out. Emma, who had been holding back tears, now burst into sobs. "Dad, is the mean lady taking our party away?" Her voice quivered with the heartbreak of it all. Before I could answer, Karen scoffed loudly. "Oh, please. Don't get all emotional over a table. There's no need to upset the children with such dramatics. Just move to another spot and let them enjoy their little party. That was the moment everything changed. Seeing my daughter cry on her special day pushed me past my breaking point. My anger flared, and I noticed that at least 3 parents had begun recording the exchange. Mike, a close friend and the father of one of Emma's best friends, stepped forward, his voice steady but firm. "I'm calling the police," he said, his tone leaving no room for negotiation. Karen rolled her eyes. "Call whoever you want," she said, with a dismissive wave of her hand. "The HOA has jurisdiction here, not the city police." She took another bite of her sandwich, clearly enjoying the power she thought she held over the situation. As Mike made the call, I gathered the kids and tried to salvage what was left of the party by starting a game of tag away from the table. My wife knelt beside Emma, comforting her, whispering assurances that everything would be okay. About 20 minutes later, 2 police officers arrived, and to my surprise, Karen's demeanor shifted completely. She stood up, smiling as if she'd been expecting them for tea. "Officers, thank you for coming," she said, her voice sweet as honey. "I'm Karen Winters, president of the Oakwood Estates HOA. I can explain this misunderstanding." The taller officer, Martinez, nodded politely. "We received a call about a dispute over a reserved park table. Can I see some identification from both parties?" I handed over my driver's license and a reservation permit, while Karen hesitated just long enough to make it obvious that she wasn't eager to comply. Finally, she retrieved her purse and presented her ID, giving me a cold smile as she did so. "So what's happening here today?" Officer Martinez asked, his eyes moving between Karen and me. And just like that, the moment of truth had arrived. I explained the situation calmly, detailing how we had reserved the table weeks in advance for my daughter's birthday. Spent the entire morning setting up, and were in the middle of the celebration when Karen had arrived and claimed that the table had been reassigned by the HOA. Karen immediately interrupted as I was speaking, her voice dripping with false authority. "The HOA recently implemented new guidelines for premium seating locations in community areas," she stated smugly. "We sent out notices." Officer Martinez raised his hand, cutting her off. "Ma'am, this is a city park, not HOA property. The city's reservation system is the only valid authority here." He examined our reservation permit with an air of finality. "This reservation is properly filed and paid for. It grants the Donovan family exclusive use of this table during the specified hours." Karen's confident smile faltered for a brief moment. She quickly regained composure, though, and insisted, "Well, perhaps there's been some jurisdictional confusion, but the HOA board voted last month to extend our oversight to all community spaces utilized by Oakwood residents." She fumbled through her clipboard. "I have the minutes from that meeting right here." The second officer, a woman named Ramirez, stepped forward. "Ms. Winters, the HOA jurisdiction stops at the boundaries of your development. City parks are public property, managed by the Parks and Recreation Department." At that moment, one of the parents who had been recording the interaction stepped forward. "I have video of her removing their decorations and making the birthday girl cry," she said, holding up her phone. Officer Martinez nodded, taking the phone. "We'd like to see that, please." As the officer watched the video, I noticed Karen's composure cracking. "I didn't see any decorations," she muttered, trying to save face. "The table appeared to be unoccupied when I arrived. It's first come, first served." Another parent spoke up, their voice firm. "That's not true. We all watched her take down the birthday banner and balloons." Officer Ramirez turned to Karen, her voice unwavering. "Ms. Winters, interfering with lawful park reservation is considered theft of services. From what I'm seeing in this video, there's also potential harassment and public disturbance." Karen's face drained of color as the gravity of the situation hit her. "This is absurd. I'm the HOA president," she snapped. "I was simply enforcing our community guidelines." Officer Martinez raised an eyebrow, unfazed. "Do you have any official documentation from the city granting the HOA authority over park reservations?" Karen hesitated, fumbling through her clipboard, clearly stalling. "Well, not with me. But there is no such document, Officer Ramirez stated firmly. This appears to be a clear case of you attempting to exert authority you don't have, disrupting a child's birthday party in the process. The crowd of parents that had gathered around now watched with rapt attention, and I could see the realization dawning on Karen that she was losing control of the situation. Her friend Debbie had quietly disappeared, no longer present to back her up. This is all a misunderstanding. Karen insisted, her voice rising in pitch, her tone desperate. I was just trying to maintain order in our community spaces. Officer Martinez sighed. Ms. Winters, please gather your belongings. You're being placed under arrest for theft of services, harassment, and disturbing the peace. A collective gasp went to the crowd as Officer Ramirez pulled out her handcuffs. Karen's eyes widened in disbelief. You can't be serious. Do you know who I am? This is outrageous, she sputtered, as the officer began to recite her rights. I'll sue the city for this. Karen raged. The entire HOA will hear about this travesty. She continued to protest loudly as she was escorted to the police cruiser, her face flushed with indignation. Once Karen was securely in the back seat of the patrol car, Officer Martinez turned to us, offering an apology. I apologize for the disruption to your celebration, he said kindly to Emma, who was watching with wide eyes. You folks are free to continue your party. Your reservation is completely valid. We thanked the officers, and as they drove away with Karen still visibly fuming in the back seat, the other parents rallied to help us restore the decorations. Someone had rescued the happy birthday banner, and we hung it back up. Slowly, Emma's smile returned as her friends gathered around her, excited and animated about the dramatic turn of events. The next morning, I received a call from the district attorney's office. They informed me that Karen was being charged with criminal trespass, harassment, and disorderly conduct because she had falsely represented herself as having official authority. The charges were being taken particularly seriously. She was facing up to 90 days in jail and fines totaling $3,000. 2 days later, the story hit the local news. The video of Karen's outburst had gone viral, and reporters soon uncovered that Karen had been fabricating the extent of the HOA's power for years. The Oakwood Estates Board called an emergency meeting and voted unanimously to remove her as president, issuing a public statement distancing themselves from her actions and clarifying that they had never authorized her to enforce anything outside their development. When the judge announced her sentence, Karen's perfect facade finally crumbled. 60 days in jail, suspended 1-year probation, a $1,000 fine, and 200 hours of community service, specifically at city parks. Karen broke down in court, sobbing uncontrollably. My reputation is ruined, she wailed. I was only trying to maintain community standards. The judge, unmoved, added one final blow. Karen was also barred from serving on any HOA board for 5 years. For the first time, Karen's grip on power slipped completely. Her reign of control over our neighborhood came to an end, and with it, she was left to face the consequences of her own actions.